Derivatives trading involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results.
So stressful when the world's on fire. Good God. I can't look at this, guys. Like, my strategy is you buy it and you hope that you got a good spot. Yeah, but we all think you're crazy. You don't fight this. No way. The markets are freaking out and you don't think that anything is wrong? Come back tomorrow and I'll lose it all. Should be fun.
Good morning, everybody. Hey, look, I'm like kind of on time. Well, I mean, yeah, we're early. We're early. We call that we're early. Well, let's go straight to the charts then, shall we? We're early. I'm gonna punish everybody that comes when I'm usually here, you know, instead of early. So, treasury, you know what? That move up yesterday was bigger than I thought. Was pretty quiet while we were here. Was this where it turned? No, where was it? Where we were trading. Well, not trading, but watching it. It kind of like died down. But after the E-mini opened up, they started selling all the things again, and the treasuries went up. Curious. Okay, but in the E-mini, it wasn't like so terrible. I think the thing that you're seeing here, though, is that even though it's not pulling the overall index down because you're getting a lot of rebalancing, there's still a lot of turmoil under the surface, and there are some companies that are really, really hurting, okay? So, and that could, you know, become contagious. Okay, here's oil. Oil has had a little bit of flippiness, you know, jumping up and then coming back down, jumping up, coming back down, as war with Iran becomes increasingly more uncertain. I'm really, at this point, not sure what they're going to do. I'm not sure what they're going to do. Gold and silver seem to be holding on to their gains so far. That looks pretty good in silver, except for that it's pretty rare to have a bust like that and then, you know, recover it so quickly. So I'm not going to get too excited. Kappa? Okay. We're getting a start of a nice little uptrend here, but nothing too major. Now, the Japanese yen, that's the one that was the biggest mover. Japanese yen getting crushed overnight pretty big because apparently the president talked to the central bank governor and said that they were concerned about more rate hikes and yada, 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 yada. So the Japanese yen got crushed. The dollar, though, only a little bit up because I think it's losing against some of its peers. So interesting. And then Bitcoin, that did not look good in Bitcoin. So we had this drop here. Okay, yeah, but it wasn't new lows. It's not terrible, but now they're like continuing down. Now I think that Bitcoin seems to be continuing down with other risk assets. So, I don't know, man. So if they fail 6,000 again, that's going to be ugly. Probably not enough to trigger like the ultimate crash. I remember post 2017? I think so. When it fell apart after the futures went live, I remember we started, the futures went live. I was like, this is probably the top. It was. And when it fell apart, like there was like a drop and then, you know, people kind of like forgot about it. And then it had a further drop. And oh my gosh, that further drop was so spectacular. Never seen any. I still remember that one. Reading all the people on social media panicking and all of these sorts of things. Like, it was a truly spectacular crash. And I think that's what Bitcoin has in store for us if we take another leg lower. But then, you know, maybe they find a base somewhere. Who knows? You know, like if they were, I would love to see it go to zero, to be honest with you. I just don't like Bitcoin. I know all the Bitcoin lovers are probably, I'm not going to watch that. But I would love to see it to go to 0, but I bet you probably not. Like, for them to get back down to 20K would be hard. Good morning, Kevin, Schroeder, Steve. Were you here yesterday, Steve? Or is that... No, that's a different name. And then, who's he here? So, by the way, I told you yesterday that we would be able to stream until 9 o'clock today because it's a work from home day. Well, I lied. Sorry. Suckered you. Yeah, I got you. Told you that, and you all came, and now I'm only going to stay for 30 minutes. Sorry. Yeah, no, there was a meeting we were supposed to have yesterday that was a pretty big deal, and they like canceled and rescheduled it at the last second, and rescheduled it for 8:30. So worthless. So and my commute sometimes takes more than an hour, so I'm gonna leave at the top of the hour, I think. Leave at the top of the hour, make sure I get there plenty in time, and yeah. But on Thursday, it definitely should be here. And oh yeah, maybe I'll make up for you. I got an email this morning. ATS wants to do giveaways on Discords, so that'll be cool if you want. That's a good platform. And they seem to be working harder to convince people over to their platform than the other platforms are, aren't they? I wonder what's going on with that. Well, with all that said, let's come in here and clear our levels. The treasury seems pretty tight here for the first little bit. So what I'm seeing right now kind of suggests that we could underperform volatility today. But there was some turmoil in the S&P 500. Another leg lower could probably trigger a lot of things. So I think we got to stay on our toes. Let's see here. I feel like there's something I should be looking at the moment. Well, I do have food. Maybe it's that. Oh, yes. No, that's right. Jane Street sued for crypto insider trading that accelerated Terraform collapse. According to the bankruptcy court appointed administrator, Jane Street used non-public information to front-run trading that hastened the collapse of Terraform. Let's see here. Where was it? By late 2018, Jane Street had signed up to trade directly with Terraform, but its trading Terraform's tokens didn't take off until February 2022 when Jane Street sent Bryce Pratt, a former intern at Terraform, to establish lines of communication with his former Terraform colleagues. Among Pratt's communications with Terraform was a group chat he set up with his former colleagues, including a software engineer and the head of business development at Terraform. The group named the chat Bryce's Secret and used it as a way to channel Terraform-related information back to Jane Street. After Pratt started an email chain to introduce Terraform's head of business development and Jane Street's DeFi leaders, the parties began regularly communicating and discussing a potential Jane Street investment in Terraform, the lawsuit says, but Jane Street turned those communications into a back-channel source for material non-public information about Terraform and later used the confidential information it learned to pursue trades to maximize profits for itself. Specifically, on May 7th, 2022, at 5:44 p.m. Eastern Time, Terraform withdrew 150 million Terra USD from the Curve 3 pool, a liquidity pool where stablecoins could be exchanged one for the other. Less than 10 minutes after Terraform's withdrawal, which hadn't been publicly announced to the market, a crypto wallet that some analysts have linked to Jane Street withdrew 85 million of Terra USD from the same liquidity pool, the complaint alleges. Okay, I find this story incredibly interesting, of course. But I think that it could be a big legal deal because there is this fuzzy zone with insider trading, right? Like if you get information about a company and you go and you trade it on the stock, that can be material non-public information, and that you can get hit for insider trading. But there's all sorts of things that employees know that you don't know, and they're still allowed to buy and sell the stock, right? Like it's just like they're limited on when they can do it, so that like earnings are out already and yada yada yada. For instance, right? Or like, is information about Terraform a cryptocurrency non-public information? The law is unclear on this point. To be honest with you, the law is unclear about it. Not only that, but they're saying Terraform withdrew money from the pool, and then 10 minutes later, Jane Street pulled too. Well, that could just be because they're watching the wallet. They saw a big wallet pull out. They figure it, they might not even have direct knowledge it was Terraform, right? So that one is kind of hard to prove as well. Let's see here. It didn't end there. However, after the May 7 trade, Jane Street continued to use confidential information, including what it learned from Jump Trading, to trade Terra USD for more profits. While the Terra USD was pegged but not fully collapsed, Pratt set up a group message with Quan Huang and others at Jane Street expressing the firm's interest in bidding on either Bitcoin or the Luna token. Quan responded that Bill DeSoma, founder of Jump, should have reached out to Jane Street to discuss a fundraise for Terraform. I don't know, man. So I think that this is something that will go to trial, and there will be questions about whether it was actually non-public information or whether it qualified as non-public information. And how it rules could have significant impacts for the markets going forward. So, probably won't be years until we really know what happens there, but something to watch. Okay, now I think I covered everything that we really need covered today. Man, I tell you what, it's still early. but I've been hearing plenty of airplanes and cars and so forth out there this morning. Wow. Early tax refunds are showing a 14% increase, the IRS says. Why is that? Story doesn't say why there's more tax returns. Why do you choose Jigsaw over other platforms? Jigsaw simply has the best DOM. And it comes down to that. Jigsaw is basically all about the DOM, and it does have charts, but they're kind of, they're a newer feature and they're not quite as developed. Right. So even, like the thing that really attracted to me in the first place is like, I click anywhere, puts the kind of order that I want, put a stop order, whatever the deal is. It's a very, very easy for me. I can be very nimble. I don't have to think about, okay, am I pushing the control button or the middle mouse button or any of this other kind of nonsense that they kind of do on other platforms. It just determines what kind of order I want to put based on where I click. It's great. And then they invented the middle column sort of a thing. Other platforms have copied some of their stuff, but they've never done it quite as well. They've just never done it as well. So, and because we're trading the treasury market, the depth of market is particularly important. So, yeah. I on the other hand, I kind of feel dissatisfied with all of the platforms to some extent. They're just, like if I want to do technical stuff, if I want to like backtest order flow and all that sort of thing, apply machine learning, the platforms are just not set up for it very well. So we're still kind of working on our own platform. No. Okay, so there's this Reddit thread. Tell me if I'm crazy. Okay. There's this Reddit thread. They say female characters in games were unrealistic, and they show a picture of this American speed skater Olympic speed skater. That's the word I was looking for. They have a picture of this Olympic speed skater and then a picture of this girl in a game. And people were arguing about it. And this guy is saying, where did I come here? This meme was pointing out look, people's ability in the Olympics doesn't always determine that. Because I was saying, look, there's nothing common about competing in the Olympics at that level. You have to have a combination of the best training and rare genetics. And they say, no, like, see, it's realistic. No. I'm sorry, guys. There's maybe some things that are deceptive about the view and the picture and everything like that. But this girl has insane quads. Her legs are insane. I could go to the gym and do nothing but work, like, which is basically what I do anyways. I will not ever come anywhere even close to that. That is insane. And I don't think that you realize how small of a frame that is. This comic book character has a more common physique than this girl does. Like, you gotta be kidding me, dude. This is like the 0.1% of quads in the world you're looking at right there. And everybody's all like, oh no, this is perfectly normal. No, you've been on the internet too long, man. You've been viewing Gooner threads for too long if you think that's normal. Seriously. That's crazy. I know literal world champion weightlifters that wish they had an ass that big. So tell me, am I crazy? I'm in Miami, so that's a hot take. But even in Miami, do you see somebody with that much booty that's actually like under 15% body fat? Like, that is insane. Really? Man, it's really weirding me out that people don't realize how crazy of a physique that is. Yeah, for real. I like, this is a girl that I would bet you money has skipped a period in her life because she was working out too hard, if not regularly. That tends to happen when you get down to that low body fat and that much muscle on a girl. Not like the end of the world sort of a thing, but I think I probably jumped the shark with that last comment. Just forget that I said anything about it. Forget I said anything about it. What? Trump's Board of Peace mulling stablecoin for Gaza efforts? Please, no. This would be a means for Gazans to transact digitally. This is a terrible idea. Just give them dollars. Or whatever the Israeli currency is. Probably should just give them whatever the Israeli currency is. This is a terrible idea. I am... I'm sick of the crypto stuff. I think the only saving grace about everything that's happened in the past year or so with cryptocurrencies is that there was a lot of left-wingers out there that were kind of partial to Bitcoin. In my mind, because it's always been kind of like a free market sort of a thing, so you would think that it would appeal more to libertarians. But I would argue that in the beginning, it was much more left-wing. Not that it was like ideological or anything, it's just the people that were interested in it, tech people, they tended to be liberal. So they were more liberal. And when Donald Trump came in and was like pro crypto everything, all of the liberals got red pilled on it. It was a good thing, I think. But then the downside is that then I have to argue with fellow conservatives about it, I guess. Well, man, maybe it's a good thing that I gotta leave early today, because this thing is just like really died out again. Oh, hey, you know what? My it did not scrape the volatility correctly today. Oh, because I left it open, perhaps? There we go. It's a little better. So there's still a bug that it doesn't always read it when it's running live. Should come in here and change the indicator and say info, I think. What's with folks on the right thinking that the USA pummeled communist Canada? Dude, the reactions to the gold medal game, the gold medal hockey game, are a little unhinged. Like the number of left wingers I saw on there that were just complaining about the American players celebrating and things like this is just, it was so dumb. It was so dumb. I think that it's just you know, you win, you rub it in their face. It's not a huge deal, guys. That's just what happens. Chill out. Chill out. Like Canada is communist now. Okay, so explain this one to me. Anthropic dropped an AI tool for COBOL, and IBM stock fell 13%. Is that much of IBM's revenue related to COBOL? What? There's something about it. If that's the case, then I learned something new about IBM, because I thought that COBOL was kind of like, you know, there was, you know, you pay the developers for it, but I didn't know that IBM was still running a large amount of business for it. That is an OG platform for sure. I actually know a little bit about COBOL. It's actually really, really interesting because you have to put certain things, certain sections of the line. It's weird. Translating COBOL was never the problem. IBM was offering tools to automate that in the early 2000s. The problem is these applications are written for the mainframe hardware. You just end up with a menu-driven green screen application in the browser. If they had really solved this problem for IBM, why didn't their stock go up? Yeah. I'm telling you, here's what's happened, guys. All of the hedge funds have integrated large language models into their trading. and the large language models read the headline, and then they go, okay, they just automated COBOL. Who's that going to hurt the most? Well, the only company I can see that has any services related to COBOL is IBM, so let's go short them. And so then the LLM goes and shorts IBM without thinking about like how much of IBM's business is actually based on COBOL and what were the existing solutions and all of the, like, is it really actually a loss of revenue? Because it seems like maybe it's not. Funny thing about this is IBM already provides AI tools, but nobody seems to care. IBM also provides alternative to Jira. I think it's called IBM Jazz, but unlike Jira, there isn't a free tier. Nobody has heard of it. Plus, their tool has changed names every 3 to 5 years. IBM was on the UML to code hype 20 years ago, and they still support those tools. IBM also provides Kubernetes on their mainframe, but nobody cares. I'm telling you, it's just large language models. And the large language models are biased towards trading anything that has to do with AI. That's what it is. And eventually, if that's true, then eventually what will happen is they'll get it wrong one time really, really badly. And they get spanked so badly, all of those systems get changed. So that's usually the way that it goes, right? Is you start to see, a lot of news-driven headline volatility. And like the volatility gets bigger and bigger and bigger every time that Donald Trump tweets or whatever the thing is. And then one time they'll get it wrong. And then the volatility like just completely disappears because all of those traders get blown out. Used to program COBOL with punch cards. Yeah, because there's this whole thing where it was like the instruction and the data, and you have to put them in different columns. And yeah, anyways, I only know about it vaguely. Maybe I should take a COBOL crash course because I could do that. Anyways, it's time for me to get going, guys. I'm sorry we have to cut it short so quickly, but we should have some time on Thursday. Yeah, so I'll see you guys tomorrow. In the meantime,